All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from around the globe. This is the second session of the Erasmus Mundus Application Prep 2027. If this is your first time joining us, my name is Khalid, and I'm the Erasmus Mundus Association Country Representative for Ghana. In this series, I aim to take you through the Erasmus Mundus application process. I try to provide you all the necessary guidance that you need to put up a competitive application package out there. So today's session will be focusing on how to craft one of the most important documents in the Erasmus Mundus application package, which is the statement of purpose or the motivation letter. And for this, we will be having a look at what purpose the SOP serves in an application package, how to write one, and the elements that make a good statement of purpose. We will also have a look at the Impact SOP framework, which I have personally used to win several scholarships. In fact, this Impact SOP framework was created by myself and also by the consultation of other people who have won scholarships. So it has been thoroughly tested and it has proven to work. So I will be sharing that and explain how to adapt that to your statement of purpose. And most importantly, we will also have a look at the mistakes that you need to avoid if you want to be one of the next scholars of Erasmus Mundus. So before we begin, let's have a look at what purpose an SOP or motivation letter serve. And before I explain or before I tell you what purpose it serves, I would like us to consider this saying, which all of us have at a point in time said it in our lives. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. And if all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others, a natural question that arises is, how do we tell which animals are more equal? And you would agree with me that one way to tell which animals are more equal is to look beyond their features and consider their purpose of existence. And so this is exactly what an SOP or motivation letter serves in an application package. So in an event where all candidates have outstanding profiles, the only way to tell which students to recruit is to rely on what they have put in their statement of purpose or the motivation letter. And in fact, the statement of purpose is used to assess your motivation, your preparedness, your goal, your fit to the program, and most importantly, your communication skill. And so I've always received one of the critical questions. In fact, due to the lack of standardization or rather information being fragmented or people putting having their own ways of defining things, people have it very tough to differentiate between SOP, motivation letter, and motivation video. Obviously, should have to do with what is entailed in a motivation letter. So let's have a look at the differences between these two, I would say, not three. All right, so when we talk about SOP, it is usually focused on your academic or professional background, also your research interests, career objectives, and qualifications. And if you're applying to the US or some of these Western countries, it is one of the documents that is usually asked from students. And like I said, it is common for graduate school applications. Motivation letter, on the other hand, is usually used by European universities, especially the Erasmus Mundus programs. Most of them ask for motivation letter instead of the statement of purpose. So if you look at the motivation letter, it places more emphasis on your personal reasons for applying, your enthusiasm, values, and what motivates you. And you are usually requested if you are applying for a scholarship, for instance, Erasmus Mundus in this case. And so the motivation video is same as the motivation letter, just that the program asking for motivation video usually pays particular attention to your verbal communication skill. And this is very important. Before I even continue, let me take this opportunity to advise you all young men and women out there. If you're a young person, the world is shifting, and be it academia or industry, communication skill is very, very important because the world relies on resource. And a good way to have good resource is to sell yourself better. So try as much as possible to improve your verbal communication skills, because most of the programs that ask for motivation video would rely on that to recruit you. And if a program is asking for motivation video, it should give you a clue that indeed they want students that have the capacity to market their program. And so pay particular attention to that. And so before you even put pen to paper, there are some questions you should ask yourself. And if you remember, I asked all of you to go through the Erasmus Mundus course catalog and select your programs of interest. And this is why I made that request, because before you even begin writing an SOP or motivation letter, there are several questions. You should write them down. And so if you have a pen or paper, please take note of the following. If you don't worry. I will share the slides with you after the meeting. So let's have a look at the questions that you should ask yourself before even writing a motivation letter. And the first one is why the program exists. I put up a video, I believe last week, in which I explained the purpose of scholarships. And in that video, I did explain that Erasmus Mundus programs are created to solve some specific problems within our society. And you need to know the kind of problem that your program or the program that you are interested in applying to is solving. So what specific problem is the program that you're applying to solving? This is important because it helps you, once you have these answers, as you will see later, it helps you to put up your motivation letter. So the first question is why the program exists. You understand that, you ask that question, you find an answer to that question, and then you move to the specific problems that the program is solving. It doesn't end there. You need to also ask what makes an ideal candidate for the program. What kind of candidate or what kind of profile is the program interested in recruiting? And this will save you a lot of time to know whether the program that you are interested in applying to will eventually recruit you or not. You do not waste your time, gambling where you have no chance of winning. So take note of this. And last but not the least, how will the program benefit by admitting you? Let me state this one clearly, because like I said moments ago, we are living in a resource-oriented world. And in fact, nothing is given out for free. It's a give and take affair. So if somebody is recruiting you, paying you monthly stipend, taking all the, the cost associated with, recruiting you to the program, then they should be getting some sort of benefit. And scholarships indeed are just, investments. I've explained it in a video that I did last week, So you should understand that there should be some sort of benefit that the program should get from you. So ask this question as well and try to find answers to that question as well. And so the 4 questions, the first one, how does the program or why does the program exist? Second, what specific problems is the program solving? And then what makes you an ideal candidate for the program? And how will the program benefit by admitting you? Write these questions down, go through the program's website and find answers to them, even before you start writing your motivation letter or statement of purpose, because this is exactly what you need to explain in your statement of purpose to make you a competitive applicant. So let's move forward. I will move to explaining the impact SOP or motivation letter framework. Like I've said, I said that I have used this and I've won several scholarships. So if you are wondering what kind of scholarships I've won, I did my bachelor's in Turkey. I used the same strategy to write my motivation letter. I got it. Nobody helped me. I did everything on my own. I applied to 5 different Erasmus Mundus programs using this framework. I got accepted into 4 of them. And then for my PhD, I applied to 3 different institutions using the same strategy, and I got accepted to all 3 institutions that I apply to. So take note. And what I want to say before moving forward is that writing an impactful SOP or motivation letter is an act that you must master because it takes time, effort, and patience. It does not just happen overnight. You need to write, rewrite, think about it, go to the shower, try to let some ideas cripple in, and then you put everything into perspective. So you cannot just on your first try have a perfect SOP. No, it takes time, more effort, and patience. So let's have a look at the impact framework. What does the impact stand for? The I in this case stands for introduction. And in the introduction, that is where you use your hook or opening story. Do not worry, I will explain and elaborate on this further as we move forward. The M stands for motivation, why you chose the field. The P, preparedness or preparation, academically and professionally. How are you prepared to join the program? The A stands for achievements. Like I said, all animals are equal. However, some are more equal than others. So how are we able to tell if you are more, if we are more equal than other applicants? And that would be based on your achievements, including your projects, your research skills, and your experiences. The C is course fit. They want people who fit the purpose of the program. And so it is important to write your application having this at the back of your mind. And the T stands for trajectory, which means your career goals and future directions. And you need to explain each of these in your motivation letter, even if the motivation letter is requesting as little as 500 words in the motivation letter. You have to have all these elements in your motivation letter to stand a chance of winning the Erasmus Mundus scholarship. So let's elaborate on this further. Let's have a look at the structure of an SOP or motivation letter. So the first thing to ask yourself is, when I'm writing a motivation letter, why am I writing? I've already explained to you that it is used to assess your motivation, your fit, your goals to the program, And so the way you want to write your application or your statement of purpose is by, first of all, asking yourself this crucial question. Why would somebody invest their time, spend their time to read your letter when they have thousands of such letters in front of them? There must be a reason. And this is why we use a strategy called a hook. You all know what a hook is. We use it for fishing. So you sort of bait it and then you get to catch the fish. And this is, exactly what you need to do in your motivation letter or statement of purpose to have the person reading your letter have an interest in your letter. And so you have to start with some specific experience, a problem or realization that sparkled your interest in the field. And in fact, it must be aligned to the program that you're applying, the goal of the program that you're applying to. And this is why I said you need to invest some time in reading about the program's aims and goals if you really want to win the scholarship. And so once you have your hook, the purpose of it is to, buy the interest of the reader so that they would be interested in reading your letter further. I've, read some people's motivation letter, and the moment you start reading, you lose interest. And the reason is that they use very generic, non-relevant opening statements that has nothing to do with the program that they're applying to. And so, once again, start with specific experience, a problem, or a realization that sparkled your interest in the field. And this experience, problem, or realization must be aligned with the program's aim. Very important. So you have now bought my interest. Now I'm reading your letter. What is the next thing you have to tell me? Well, your motivation. This is where you have to explain why you chose the subject and how your interest developed. Well, you've told me a problem that is well aligned with what my program is aiming to solve. Now you have to tell me what motivated you to pursue this career path, or to pursue that subject of study or field of study, if you like. And so your motivation comes next, and then how you have been prepared. Now remember our impact framework. The I stands for what? Introduction. And the M, your motivation. So the P stands for preparedness. And now the preparedness, I mentioned that academically and professionally. So you have to highlight your relevant courses, projects, research achievements, or skills. And you have to focus on what prepared you for the program. Same thing you have to do for your professional or practical experience. Note that here I have distinguished between academic and professional, because academic is one thing, you may have very good grades, very fantastic, fantastic if you have good grades. But then outside of the classroom, what have you done? And this is where you have to discuss your internships, your work experience, volunteering, leadership, or extracurricular activities that are connected to your goal. You don't just dump any professional or practical experience in the motivation letter. Of course, it must also be aligned with the aims of the program that you are applying to. And the next thing you have to move to, once you explain how well you are prepared academically and professionally, is why you have chosen this program. Out of the hundreds of programs, well, I may be exaggerating, but as this morning, there are more than 200 different programs on the Erasmus Mundus course catalog that you can choose from. So out of these many programs, why have you chosen this particular one? And this is where you have to explain what you want to study and how the program's curriculum, research areas, facilities, or faculty align with your interests. And in fact, anything that you say here must be verifiable by your own profile. You don't just put anything at all. It must be there must be a way to prove it. So the next thing you talk about after you have explained why you have chosen this program is your career goals. Well, yes, you've told me this is why you want to study this program, but what do you want to achieve as a person? Tell me, let me see if it is in line with my program's goal. I want people who can help me achieve the goal of the program, the Erasmus Mundus program. Once again, remember, Erasmus Mundus programs, perhaps not all of them, but 90% of them are created to solve specific problems in the society with short-term goals. For example, I was in a program called EDIS, which stands for Data Intensive Engineering of Data Intensive Intelligent Software Systems. And the purpose of that program was to train people who can bridge the gap between software engineering and data science. And so if you are writing a letter for such a program, you must be well aware that they are looking for people whose goal is to bridge the gap, because that's what they want. That's their ultimate goal. So again, in your career goals, you have to present your clear short-term and long-term goals and explain how the degree will help you achieve them. And this is where you have to be smart and know that your goals and the goals of the program must be well aligned, because you cannot say, okay, I want to be a doctor, and the program is also aiming to maybe train pilots. It doesn't work that way. You must be, needless to say, but of course, most of you probably haven't written a competitive statement of purpose before, so it is worth mentioning some of these, points. The next thing is, what do you bring to the table? Ladies, this is not a question that is only asked by the gents. I believe the program officers or coordinators also have this question in their mind. And in fact, in every aspect of life, this question once in a while comes up, because people want to see your world, what you are, made up of, how you contribute to the world, So what do you bring to the table? And this is where you really have the ball in your court. You need to briefly describe your skills, your perspective, experience, or qualities that you will contribute to the program community. And it is very important, because in the one before this point, you had to explain your your short-term and long-term goals. Sorry, I'm fumbling because I haven't, I've had, this is my third meeting of the day, so a little bit mentally exhausted. But all the same, I still had to make time for you guys, because I really want to help as many people as possible. In fact, I've helped several people to win the scholarship in the past at no cost, and this is my aim. The reason why I do this is because during my time, I had no one to guide me, and I've seen how difficult and frustrating it can be. So I really have this at my heart. So anyways, let's continue with this. So what do you bring to the table? Describe the skills, your perspective, experience, or qualities that you will contribute to the program community. And they need people that will contribute in a way that achieves the program's aim. Once again, so if you're applying to a program like the one that I was enrolled in, training people to bridge the gap between data science and software engineering, you do not say, oh, I can contribute by building aeroplanes, blah, blah, blah. No, it doesn't achieve the goal of the program. What you may have to say in this case is that you've seen, certain, or, you've seen certain problems in the community, and you have so and so skill that you believe that if you are recruited, you will be able to contribute to the program's aim because you already have that skill, So you just need to pass through the formal training. And in fact, one thing about graduate studies is that no one teaches you. Yes, you go to class, teachers or professors come to class and they explain a couple of concepts to you, but much of the work is reliant on you. You have to do the research yourself, Do not be afraid. All of us didn't have the experience, but once you get accepted, you will figure your way out. So you are Ghanaians. You have what it takes to figure things out. So the next thing is the conclusion, whereby you have to connect your past experience, your present decision, and your future ambition. And in fact, and confidently, one thing I've seen in many of the letters that I've read is that most people tend to sound a bit, I don't know if using pathetic would be the right word here, but most people sound like begging, no one cares about, you begging. It doesn't work that way. Remember, I told you already that we are living in a resource-oriented world, and everybody is interested in what benefits them, So you have to earn in a way that makes the program committee or coordinator believe that indeed there is something in you that they are interested in, Good question. If you have questions, please note them down because I cannot see. I have my screen on the full screen now, so I cannot see if you raise up your hand. So if you have any question, please note it down. Once I'm done, I will give you the opportunity to ask your questions. I can see there is somebody wrote in the chat. I will come to that once I end my talk. All right. Very importantly, mistakes to avoid. Like they say, no man is infallible. We all make mistakes. And indeed, in every aspect of life, we all make mistakes. But then there are things that you should avoid if you want to win the Erasmus Mundus scholarship. In fact, if you make any of the following mistakes that I'm going to mention, then you probably won't be one of the next scholars. So please take note. What are they? The first one is what I call the curse of AI. Now we have AI everywhere, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. And so what most of us want to do is that we just dump our idea or whatever that we have at our hands, into an AI tool and ask it to write the letter for us. All right, fair enough. You are asking an AI to write the question or to write the statement of purpose. Well, what happens if everyone else does the same? It means that all of you are going to have very similar letters. And as somebody who is in the field, I work in the AI field. I do AI in healthcare. I have training in computer engineering, intelligence systems, computer vision, and also AI in healthcare. And I use these tools a lot. And I can tell you miles away, when I see a letter and it was written by an AI, I can confidently tell you that this letter was written by an AI because there are patterns that, yes, you have probably heard people claim, oh, if you do that, people will not be able to, distinguish whether it was written by an AI tool or a human. Fair enough. Yes, there are ways to make it look better, but please do not dump everything. Be like, oh, I'm applying to program A, B, C, So please write me a motivation letter. If you do that, I'm doing the same. So it means that we are all going to do the same. And at the end of the day, we both lose our uniqueness, which means that there's nothing special about both of us. And guess what? We are not going to be picked anyway. So please do not use AI. Should you use AI at all? This is a question I believe if Tommy is here, I will ask him on this question once I land. So, what is the next thing? Uh, Relying on hope, not researching enough about the program that you are applying to. And this is a mistake that you shouldn't even think about, making because uh, like I always say, scholarship are not won by hopefuls. They are won by people who are strategic. How do you get strategic? You read about the program that you are interested in applying to, understand why the program exists, the kind of people that they are looking for, and then you prepare yourself accordingly. For the record, I started looking out for Erasmus Mundus programs when I was in my the first semester of my third year. I did a 4-year bachelor's degree, and I to be honest, I got accepted into 4 of the 5 programs that I applied to when I was in the last semester of my bachelor's degree. So I had not even graduated yet. So it should tell you that it took a very long time for me to study the programs and then prepared myself accordingly. I did one of my internships purposely in a field that would allow me to apply to the program that I got accepted, this program. By the way, let's continue. The next thing is copying other people's storylines. And in fact, once you do that, you lose your uniqueness and originality. So please, do not go to the internet and copy other people's storylines, blah, 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 blah. We are all unique in our own ways. If you remember, there were some 4 questions that you must ask yourself before you even start writing the statement of purpose that I outlined in one of the slides. Once you have those questions answered, you should be good to go. You do not need to rely on other people's story to have your statement of purpose written. The next thing is flimsy stories. We've all seen this all over the place. I have always wanted to blah 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 ever since I was a child. My dad he had a galamsey pit, and that inspired me to study mining. Nobody cares about what inspired you, or how you started. Whether there was a computer, Pentium 2, Pentium 3 that you used to play with it. In the past, these were things that people used to, say in their letters that got the attention of reviewers. But they've seen this over and over again, especially when you are applying to a program that already has about 3 or 4 cohorts. They think about it. Each application window, they get thousands of applicants, And so they've read these letters over and over again, and they've seen the pattern of these same flimsy stories. So do not use it. What should you use in your opening? Like I said, there should be a hook. It should be tied to a problem, a realization, or an experience that you think is relevant for the program that you are applying to. And I believe that once you are able to stay away from these 4 major mistakes that I've put up here, you should be good to go in your motivation letter. And I believe this should be it. Thank you for listening. If you have any question, then I can give you the floor to start asking your questions. So please give me a second as I try to come back to the main. Yes, I believe I should be here. And in the chat, there was somebody who said, "Can I get your email address after the meeting?" I believe this was a direct. Okay, no problem. I can send you my email, but please be considerate because I get tons of emails each and every day. So if I'm not able to get back to you on time, do not get angry. I have a couple of things to attend to, like I said. So that's my email, not my personal email. It is the email address of the Erasmus Mundus Association. And like I said, I'm the country representative for Ghana. So once you send it to me, even if you are watching this video later on and I'm no longer the country representative, excuse me. I believe anybody who is in charge would get back to you. All right. Somebody said, I missed the AI a bit. Can it be used to refine the letter? Good question. Before I get to the questions, is Tommy here? Thomas, are you here? Probably not. Okay, no problem. I think we can proceed. If Tommy joins us, then he may be available to answer some of these questions. So this is a very good question that can I use the AI to refine the letter? Good question. We all use it to correct grammar. Even if you are using, I believe there's a tool called Grammarly. It used to be, you know, again, I don't want to go into details of it, but now they have AI capabilities. It has AI capabilities, Grammarly, that it can use to assess your letter. So once you are the one who put up the original idea, you wrote the letter, the first draft by yourself, and you only want to use it to correct grammar or structure to restructure it. I think that should be fair. That is okay. I've personally seen, some people, some professors, students, myself, I use it to refine some of the stuff that I do daily because I do a lot of reporting a lot. So after I write and I want to restructure it, I use AI sometimes to restructure it. So it is perfectly fine if you are using it for the purpose of refining your letter and not drafting, or it shouldn't be the original, architect of your statement of purpose. And the reason I've already, told you, once you use AI to write, another person uses it, you are going to have the same or similar statement of purpose. If you are wondering why, AI it's all mathematics. It uses statistics to choose what words to spell out to you. And if you are very familiar with statistics, there is I believe it's called the norm, the Gaussian distribution, whereby it's like a bell shaped. So the probability of it sampling from the middle is very high. So then it's statistics, but then the chances that you will all end up having very similar letters is very high. So please don't use it as the original, or don't use it to draft the original letter. But then if you're using it to refine the letter, that is perfectly fine. Another question in the chat says, please, I can't find your email in the chat. Can you send it again? Can someone, okay, I believe it was a direct, sorry, yeah, I believe that was a direct message I sent, so I will resend it again. Yes, so I believe you should have it now. This is the Erasmus Mundus Association, like I mentioned, the email address for the Erasmus Mundus Association. And if you missed the first session, I have also uploaded the first session's video on YouTube on a page called Global Pivot Scholars. I also share a lot of advice, and I also interview some of the awardees of Erasmus Mundus Scholars there. So if you are interested, you can peep in at your free time and then have a look at some of the videos there. Let's see. Is anybody having a question? Sorry. I own this one, the Ghana at emma.eu. I'm the one who is in charge in checking it. So please, yes, when you send it, I get the messages. There shouldn't be any problem with sending emails to that one. Okay. Portia says, is it okay to add evidence to your SOP? For example, a link to pictures of activities you have done. Very good question. I think there isn't a particular consensus on whether you should be adding links to your SOP, but I personally do it because for those of us who are in the IT, usually we have portfolio. And the way you showcase your project, sometimes you are restricted by the amount of words you can write in the statement of purpose. And for that matter, a good way to go about it is to add a link that references, whatever that you've done, so that if they have interest in it, they can follow the link and read more. But then think about it again. Thousands of applicants, they are reading a lot of letters. Do you really think they have the time to follow the links and go and, check them out? That is an open question, but I do it. So if you there is no I believe in Chi they say namdudu and saying kwine. There's no harm in trying. So if you really want to add it, it's fine. You can add a link to pictures of the activities that you have done. And if they have time, or if in fact if you are shortlisted, I believe there's a high chance that they may want to go through those links and figure out if you are indeed a perfect candidate for the program. Any questions? If you want, you can also just show by hand and I will call you by name and you can ask your questions. Remember now or never. So this is a good time to ask if you have any questions, because you have somebody who has been through the process. I'm not claiming to be an overlord, but of course, experience, they say, is the best teacher. I've been through the process. I know what it takes. I've won a couple of, the same Erasmus Mundus scholarships. So it wasn't as if I was any special. It is because I understood the purpose that Erasmus Mundus serves, and I took advantage of that. And this is what you must do as a young person in life. You must always try to figure out why things exist, and once you understand their purpose, you can take advantage of it in a positive way. Pascal, please go ahead with your question.
All right. Thank you very much for the sessions today. It was really very impactful, and I really learned a lot. So my question is that I've already applied to this program, I think twice, last 2 years and last year, but unfortunately I couldn't get it. So the course that I applied to was Impact Entrepreneurship. Yeah, that was the course I applied. So my question is that, is it possible for we those that have already applied to the program before to send or share our SOP with you, so that if you can possibly pinpoint shortfalls or mistakes that we made that led to the rejection or possible refining of it, so that it can help us with our subsequent or the 2027 applications?
Very good question, Pascal. Thank you for bringing this up. I believe, yes, I have also had a lot of people ask me this same question in the past over and over again. And I believe that one of the reasons why it is very easy to reject an applicant is when they have, their statement of purpose or motivation letter badly written. It is a very good reason to reject them. Sometimes it may also be due to something we call the 10% nationality rule. So throughout the entire program's period, they cannot admit more than 10% of students from the same country. So there are various factors that you must, factor in and then assess why you were rejected. But coming back to your question, I believe that yes, I'm okay. I'm open to reviewing your letters, but like I said, if I should show you my inbox right now, you should understand that. I have a lot of questions around. I have a lot of. Sorry, I was reading in the chat at the same time, so um, I got confused for a moment. So you will see that I have a lot of letters in my inbox. And so, yes, I'm open to you sending me your SOP to review it, but please understand that I do this voluntarily. I do not take money. And so it requires a lot of effort. At the same time, I'm a PhD candidate. I'm a very busy person. So when it takes, some time, sometimes it takes a week, 2 or 3 to get back to you, you should understand. So please, yes, you can send me your statement of purpose to review, but please know that in some cases it may take time to review your letter. Just a second. Oh, okay. So now we have Tommy in the house. Uh, Yeah, so Tommy, we have already gone through the statement of purpose. I have taken them through how to write one, the mistakes to avoid. And there was a particular question that somebody asked. I believe you and myself, we answered that question. It had to do with whether they can use AI to refine their statement of purpose. And I did answer that yes, they can, but they should not use it to write or to have the original draft, because if you do, another person is doing the same and you may end up having very similar letters. So I will come back that I will welcome Tommy and let him pass his comment on that question. But before that, Aisha, if you can ask your question.
All right. Good evening.
Evening.
Please, I wanted to find out this particular scholarship. Does it give priority to certain class?
By class, do you mean first class,
Like
second
first
class?
class, second class upper, in that order? Does it give priority to the
Good
classes?
Good question. One thing about the Erasmus Mundus program is that there is no GPA requirement. So whether you're a first class, second class, upper, excuse me, second class, lower, it does not matter. However, let's think about this. It is very competitive, a lot of people are applying. So obviously, the more the merrier. If you have a very beautiful profile, as Donald Trump would put it, then of course, it should be to your advantage to have, an upper class. But then I've equally seen people with second class lower, 3.0, 2.85, still get admitted to Erasmus Mundus programs. And it is because they understood why the program exists and they wrote their letter. They were able to justify, in some cases, why they have low GPAs. And so it is still very much open. I've also seen people have 4.0 and still get rejected. So yes, if you ask me, the very simple question answer is that the more the merrier. If you have a better GPA or high GPA, it is for your own good. But then it is not the defining factor of you being awarded the scholarship or not. Portia, I will get back to you. But before that, let me welcome Tommy once again. Tommy, you are welcome if you can hear me.
Yes, I do hear you, and I hope you can hear me too.
Yes, you are coming through. So the
Okay.
question that I wanted to have your opinion on was the use of AI for refining your statement of purpose. I believe myself, we did a letter, I did a video together with you on how to write a statement of purpose, and we did discuss the consequences of using AI in drafting your statement of purpose. If you have anything that you would like to add to whatever that I've said already.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much. I apologize to everybody for joining late. I have had another appointment at 9 o'clock. So, my name is Thomas. I am an Erasmus student reading Copernicus Digital Earth. But I believe this is a Ghanaian meeting, right?
Yes, all the people in this meeting are Ghanaian students, but of course, we also share the video
Okay.
out there so that other people from, other part of the world can equally benefit.
Okay. I completed KNUST also. But the issue of AI, of course, nobody is preventing you from writing. There's nobody with a camera in your room, and there's nobody sent from the school department or wherever to monitor if participants are using AI or not. And for some of them, they will have disclaimers on their websites, some warnings and stuff that if your content is AI generated, straight away they will reject your application. My program, when I was doing the application last 2 years, that banner was not there. But the recent application form, when people sent me pictures when they were applying, I saw they put some sort of warning at the top that if they detect that you are using AI to give them the answers, it will heavily impact your application, and not a positive heavy impact. I believe we all know. Yes. So You can use it, but with caution. You have to really know what you are doing. One of the reasons I say so is that, one, you are smart. I appreciate that, but I don't think, honestly speaking, you can be smarter than a board of 6 or 7 professors. And so if you do something that is too generic, which AI is likely to give you, you will immediately be fished out. There is this template that Claude Code uses for designing PowerPoint. And towards the end of the semester, when there's a lot of presentations, you could see immediately that somebody puts a PowerPoint on the screen that this PowerPoint was generated with Claude. So at a point, I asked myself that, okay, so I am a student. I've seen only about 3 or 4 of these samples. How about the professors who are seeing 20, 30? I mean, it is very easy to sample out that this work was done by AI.
And
So,
to be honest, sorry for cutting
no
you
problem.
short, but the truth of the matter is that you do not need to even be an expert. You just have to be a frequent user of these AI tools to see miles away, to tell whether a letter was generated by an AI or not.
Yeah. And their signatures are there. The one of the things is that, one, you can write it yourself and tell AI, please polish it up for me. That is good in itself, but AI will immediately leave its signatures in the code. And when they talk about signatures, people usually think it is long words and one particular word, honed my scales, that particular phrase. And then usually AI likes to give conclusion to everything, even if there's a conclusion is not necessary. You see something like, so overall, in conclusion, I mean, you are writing a paragraph that's not supposed to have a conclusion. The conclusion is somewhere, but it is trying to make it sound sweet for you. Yes. And some of the times too, they are not really looking for somebody who can speak the Shakespeare level English. I understand it because I've been there. When you're applying, you really want to get everything perfect. And that is not bad or something like a bad intention. But to use AI completely throughout is very dangerous. It is very easy to detect. The sentences are almost the same length, the paragraphs are almost the same length. And you could see that it is not beating about the bush, but sometimes it is not really saying anything.
You only have a sense of having big grammar
Yes.
in your letter with no substance,
So I understand that you can use it, but especially in the cases where they say minimum 1,000 characters. If written all you can write and it is 300, what do I do? And then now you want to something to maybe expand it or something like that. Yeah, but so you can use it. I mean, nobody is preventing you, but please use it selectively. Selectively. So there have been essays that I've written this semester. Ethically, I'm supposed to declare AI usage. So I'll state there that, okay, fine. I did a writing, but this part of the methodology or this part of the discussion is currently beyond my skill. So maybe I use Claude from wherever. It made suggestions and I selectively applied it, which means that if it gives you the output, it is always too good. It is never a wrong one, but you have to look at it well, make selections from it, try and rephrase it in your own understanding and context. Otherwise, if you are 10, 20 people applying from Ghana, you are almost likely communicating to the same server, except
Right.
you are using a VPN or something like that.
Right.
And these things, they store what we call caches on the server. If the prompt is similar, most likely you get something similar to what somebody is also asking for. So please, you can use it, but be careful and don't copy paste. Just select some good ideas it is giving you.
Right.
I mean, sorry, it would be completely ridiculous to say that, hey, don't use AI. I mean, everybody is using it, including the professors, but it is how you use it. You should not be caught. That is the people say it's the 11th commandment.
Right. You've heard it from Tommy, the 11th commandment. Use it, but
It should not be
those
caught.
shall not be caught,
Yeah.
And indeed, you should use it wisely, selectively, and only in cases whereby it adds value to whatever that you are doing. And you've heard it from Tommy. I believe there was a question from Portia. If you could ask your question, and we see if we can help you with it.
Thank you very much for the question. Hey, thank you for giving me the opportunity to ask my question. Please, I wanted to find out the process involved in the program. For instance, you see other scholarships, you apply to either the scholarship first before this the program. I mean the school. So last year I applied.
Yes, go
applied I applied for the Erasmus Mundus Masters Program in Public Policy,
Yeah.
the ISS Yoke Track. And I was sent an email that I passed through the initial check, and it was sent to the departmental program for selection or so. So it was from that place, the academic assessment, that I received the all successful email. So I
Right.
wanted to find out how is the process or how it's been done.
All right, thank you. I think it's a very good question for people who are not familiar with the Erasmus Mundus framework. I explained this in our first session, how the programs operate. And so when you think about an Erasmus Mundus program, it is essentially a group of universities, or a consortium, if you like, who come together and then they create an idea, which then gives birth to the program, which we call the Erasmus Mundus program. And so what you are not applying for scholarship, you are applying to the program. And once you get selected by the program has funding from the European Union, which uses that to finance you. And that is what we call the Erasmus Mundus scholarship. So a typical roadmap is to go through the Erasmus Mundus course catalog, browse it, and select programs that interest you. And once you have selected the programs, you go through their individual websites, understand why they exist, and then you write your motivation letter and other documents that are requested, and then you submit it to the program. So there is no centralized application system. I believe the Commonwealth scholarships, if I'm not mistaken, they have a centralized system whereby you apply. I'm not familiar with the procedure, I could be wrong. But in the case of Erasmus Mundus, each program is independent. You do not apply to a centralized system and then they, sort of disperse your letters to the individual programs. No, each program has its own application portal where you submit your application package, and then they go through your application, documents, and once you satisfy the requirement of the program and they see you as a competitive candidate, you get recruited by the program. And so each program, once again, is very different, because for some programs, what they do is that all the universities involved in the program come together and assess all the applicants. Others also share their applications among themselves. For instance, if there are 4 universities involved in the program and they get 1,000, each university takes about 250 applicants, assess them, shortlist them, and once they have the shortlisted applicants, they then come together and make the decision. So it is not the decision is not based on the individual universities involved, but rather the consortium, the whole, all of the universities that are involved in the program. If this answers your question.
Yes, please. This answers my question perfectly well. But I have another one.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
last year, after applying, they sent an email that they sent an email that they, is it, I can't pronounce the name well. Dutch.
Yeah, you can.
Dutch. I don't know.
Yeah, Dutch. Dutch is that German or Netherlands,
Good.
Tommy?
Yes, that the immigration regulations have added additional proof of English proficiency
Oh.
that is being required by the program. So I don't know Does that mean that this year before you apply, you need to have um, proof of English proficiency from
Yeah,
IELTS or what? Those
yeah,
things?
Portia, I believe you were not able to join us during the first session, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, so that is perfectly fine. So once again, the requirements are different for each program. For some programs, irrespective of your country of origin, you are still required to provide English proficiency test. I had to provide one when I was applying to. I applied to 5 programs and 3 of them required that I provide the English proficiency. So I wrote the IS exams for that purpose. So back to your question, do you need to have the English proficiency test? It depends on the program if they require it. And usually you should see this requirement on the program's website. I remember last week somebody was in my email requesting about an information that was vividly, visible on the program's website. Please go through the program that you are interested. Go through their website, and you should see all the requirements, including the courses or the field of study that you must have, obtain your bachelor's degree in, and also regarding language proficiency tests and other requirements. And so each program is independent in whatever requirements that they want to impose on the applicants. Portia, does that help?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Do we have more questions? We still have a couple of minutes that we can take 2, 3 more questions. And by the way, in our last session, we will have that not in 2 weeks' time. I will share the details with you once again in the WhatsApp group. And so in that session, we will talk about, habits of Erasmus Mundus winners. I will try to get 2, 3 people who have won the scholarship for them to share their experience. Applying for scholarships is no child play. It involves a lot. And if you really want to win, you have to be mentally, physically prepared to go through the journey. So I will try to get people on board to share their experience, to inspire you, and to tell you what they did, because there are things that sometimes we don't explain. I've said a lot of things in this video that I in this meeting that I haven't shared it elsewhere. And so if you see me, he said he won 4 out of 5 scholarships. He applied to 5 programs and he got accepted into 4 of them. It sounds impressive, but nobody tells you what happened behind closed doors. Like I said, I started when I was in my 3rd year, when I started the first semester of my 3rd year in my bachelor's degree. And so it took me a whole, 2 years. So 3rd year, first semester, second semester, fourth year, first semester. So that is like 1.5 years to prepare, And so there are a lot of things that happens behind closed doors that most people, because in Ghana, when you talk about some of these things, we see it as bragging, In our culture, it is really not that accepted. But then elsewhere, people come out confidently and share their what motivated them or what they did behind closed doors to win the scholarship. And so I will try to get as many applicants as possible to come. Sorry, I said applicants. I mean scholars, to come and share what they have done behind closed doors, so that you can also learn from them. Remember what I said, the scholarships are not won by hopefuls. They are won by people who are strategic. And so if you just think that, okay, there is scholarship, let me apply to and hope for the best, you will probably apply for 10 years and not get it, because you have to work strategically, and you have to put in effort. This is very important. Any questions? Let me check the chat. I cannot see any messages. If you do not have any question, then I would, Tommy, I don't know if you will be able to join us for our last session. I have already had one session with them, which happened, I believe, 2 weeks ago, and this is the second one. In fact, their numbers is very huge. I think they are probably more than 200 people. Most of them couldn't join today, but I could see from the YouTube video that most of them are tuning in there to watch because probably they are not able to join due to work. And the video that I did with you on the statement of purpose really got a lot of views, and people have been questioning if I can get you on board to share because they really love the way you articulated and how you shared your genuine experience.
That works for me. Thank you so much. Is that 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, 2 weeks' time, same
So that
time.
will be the 8th of August.
Yes, that should be.
Oh, special day, 0808.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'll be available.
Okay, thank you for, and anybody who is in the meeting, please give a hands up for Tommy because he has been one of the scholars that anytime I need somebody to turn up to and ask for help, he's always willing to, assist in whatever ways that he can, contribute to. And in fact, this is, if you have traveled before, you understand that even 10 minutes of your time is very valuable. You do not give it out for free, and he has done this on several occasions for free. And so, Tommy, on behalf of all the people in the meeting, we really appreciate your time, and thank you very much for all that you have been doing for this community.
My pleasure.
Yes. For the last time, is there any question? If not, then I will share the slides in the WhatsApp group. And if you are not in that WhatsApp group or you are watching these videos some other time and you need it, you probably saw the email address. You can send me a message and I will gladly share it with you. So thank you all for joining today. It was a pleasure to have all of you on board. And honestly, I really hope that most of you get awarded the scholarship because you've shown much interest. You've dedicated yourself to learning the tips and tricks that you need to apply. And like I mentioned in our next session, we will talk about the tips and tricks and what kind of habit you have to develop if you want to win the Erasmus Mundus scholarship. Thank you very much for today. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.